Gohan quickly covered his mouth for his lack of respect in his words. He quickly remembered the lessons about respecting elders his mom pounded into him back in DBZ World. Chi sneezed as she pondered, why do I suddenly feel that Gohan needs a good hit on his head with my frying pan?
Back in Konoha, I am sorry for my lack of respect. I was just... However, before Gohan could finish his words, Hiruzen held up his hand and stopped Gohan from finishing. I understand you must be very scared and agitated for waking up in an unfamiliar place, but I must ask if you remember how you arrived here? Gohan was thinking. He clearly remembered that he was finally winning the battle against Cell when he felt his feet was lift off the ground. He was about to tell the old man about Cell when he actually started to have a sense of his surroundings. He choked when he felt the old man's power level. It was higher than his base form's power. How is that possible? Is he another enemy? Gohan desperately tried to sense out his surroundings for the Z warrior, however he felt none of them. Are they suppressing their ki, or are they killed? Hiruzen looked at the child and saw that the boy had the look he had seen in too many young shinobi, the eyes of someone who killed. He decided that the child isn't ready for questioning yet, so he decided to first ask some simple questions. What is your name, child? Gohan looked up and said, my name is Gohan, son. He was about to speak another sentence when he suddenly fainted. The medics came in and deduced that his injuries are acting up again and he needs to rest more. Hiruzen walked up to one of the medics and told him, bring him to me after you are done patching him up. A while later, the medic set Gohan on the bed of the chamber. Hiruzen had the head of the Yamanaka clan Inoichi and several of their elites come over to the meeting place. I want you to search of how this boy got here and if he poses as a threat to the village High Lord Hokage, the Yamanakas said in unison. One of them performed the hand sign and said mind reading jutsu. As Hiruzen and Inoichi waited for the results, the ninja suddenly fell on his butt. He had a look of disbelief as he sat up. The boy's mind shields are too strong. We need more power to breach his walls. Hiruzen and Inoichi both looked shocked. They both knew that a person's mind shields were at its weakest when the person is unconscious. Even a Kage would not be able to withstand a mind attack if they were unconscious. So just who was this boy? Okay. Every Yamanaka here join hands, including you, Lord Hokage. Said Inoichi, we may need every power we have here to breach the boy's mind. Mind reading jutsu, they said in unison as they successfully entered the boy's mindscape. Alright, now to find out who this kid really is. Inoichi said before floating around Gohan's mindscape before coming to where his brain was. As he touched Gohan's cranium, he was suddenly exposed to one memory. It was a bright and sunny day when Goku was happily flying in the air on top of his favorite mode of transportation, the flying Nimbus. Inoichi was puzzled at the display, a man on top of a flying cumulus cloud? And he wears an outfit similar to Naruto's. Okay? Inoichi stammered before noticing a boy of around 4 years of age. When the veteran shinobi got a good look at his facial features, he was definitely the boy whose mind he was observing. This must be the boy when he was younger. And this man must be his father. The resemblance is uncanny. Inoichi observed Goku laughed as he picked up Gohan and put him on top of his shoulder and spun both of them in the air several times as both were definitely enjoying the cloudy ride. As this went on for several more minutes, the cloud then came to a stop as two touched the forest floor. Haha, wasn't that fun, Gohan? Goku laughed with his son, who grinned excitedly. Yeah, it really was, Daddy. Gohan giggled as his hands went to his head. On top was a red hat with a peculiar-looking ball on top of it, a Dragon Ball, a magical orb that could gather any wish one desired upon gathering all 7. I really love this hat and how you gave me this Dragon Ball. Gohan smiled as Goku patted his son's back. Dragon Ball? Inoichi asked, amazed at the peculiar name of the item as the scene continued. Of course, I did. This belonged to my grandpa and I entrusted it to you as a gift for your birthday because I know you'll take good care of it, right? Goku grinned as Gohan returned the grin. Yes, Daddy. Gohan laughed as Goku patted his head in pride. Good boy. Now, let's get home before your mom worries. Goku said as Gohan jumped on Goku's back in excitement. Okay, so from what I could gather, this boy's name is Gohan. Now if I could only find out how he just fell from the sky. Inoichi thought before deciding to observe another memory in order to ascertain the answers he desired. The scene changed to the middle of a field where Goku was lying bruised and beaten as a man with long, spiky black hair was standing over the injured scion. Close by stood the Namekian Piccolo. All three men stared in shock as their gaze was turned to an open crater in the ground, and just who is this mysterious man standing over Gohan's dad? What type of armor is that he's wearing? And is that a slug man? Just what the hell is going on here? And where is Gohan? Inoichi nearly demanded. And as if his question was being heard, he turned to see Gohan, still the same age as he was in the first memory. Although unlike last time, his hat was nowhere in sight and he looked extremely angry. Is this some sort of battle? Inoichi pondered as he noticed the state of all three men. Piccolo was covered in dirt and scratches along with Goku, while the mysterious man's armor was broken on the side as blood leaked from his injured shoulder. As these thoughts swarmed in Inoichi's head, he remembered how Gohan was there, and instantly he was slightly frozen in fear for Gohan's concern. He couldn't have been any older than 4 years old. What on earth is Gohan doing there? This obviously isn't a place meant for children. Inoichi thought as Raditz decided to speak up. It's you. I don't believe it. Raditz stammered at shock with how such a small child could break through Raditz's space pod with ease. Hey Goku, look over by the crater. It's your son. Piccolo exclaimed as Goku's eyes nearly bulged out in horror at the sight of his son. He couldn't be here. There was no way he could defend himself if Raditz came after him. It can't be. Raditz muttered softly as he got his foot off of Goku's chest as Goku tried bringing his head up with what little strength he had. Gohan. Daddy can't get up right now. Run away from here, run away. Run now. Goku tried commanding his son. If he, the Earth's strongest warrior, couldn't defeat the evil Raditz, what hope did his son with no training could ever hope to succeed? All men in the memory stared with bated eyes as Gohan kept sniffling while the scouter on Raditz's eyes kept blinking and blinking. Power level 370. Impossible for a kid. And it's still going up. Raditz choked in horror as a peculiar aura surrounded the toddler. What on earth is this? Inoichi could barely speak as the aura around Gohan got bigger and bigger until it surrounded him completely and covered him. Leave my dad alone! Gohan yelled before he jumped off and flew through the air, hitting Raditz straight in his chest. Everyone, Inoichi included, could only watch with mouths open. Agape. If it were anyone else, such an attack would have killed the other person instantly. T2. Have such power at a young age. It's unprecedented. Even greater than the 3 legendary Sannin when they were in the academy. Inoichi gasped out as he could barely believe what he saw. It was such a surprise that he could barely steel himself to observe the next memory. The scene changed to a different field where Gohan was seen sobbing. Gohan's crying? But over what? Inoichi asked before the answer was given to him in the form of Piccolo, who was lying next to him with his GI ripped with the green man covered in purple blood. It looks as if he's about to die. Inoichi observed as Gohan was pushing and holding a tight grip on Piccolo. You're like the son I never had. Piccolo rasped out as tears protruded from his eyes in happiness. He was a demon who cared for no one and no one cared for him. But in Gohan's young naive eyes, he was a person who deserved a second chance. He was just like his father. No, please. Mr. Piccolo. Gohan cried as he was literally begging for Piccolo to cling onto life. Goodbye, my friend. Thank you. Piccolo smiled as he left the world of the living, happy to know at least one person cared for him. Piccolo, Mr. Piccolo. No, and no. Gohan yelled as he screamed to the heavens, almost as if begging for the gods above to give back the life of his precious master. That poor child. He looks to be no older than 5 years old here, already having to bury his master. Inoichi said in sympathy as he saw children even younger than Gohan lose their friends and family members. Sometimes they were slaughtered right in front of them. Gohan then glared straight at the man above him who was laughing at Gohan's misery and sadness. He fixed him with a glare even fiercer than one Inoichi saw against Raditz. All right, let's go. Nappa exclaimed amusingly as that damn Namekian got in his way of killing the little snot. This time he wouldn't miss. Masenko! Gohan yelled as he brought his hands to his forehead. What got Inoichi's attention were the lightning bolts emitting from his attack. What is that? It looks to be a variant of Chidori? But how? Inoichi contemplated before a voice cut him off. Nappa, watch out! This one is much more powerful than he appears. Vegeta exclaimed to get his comrade's attention as Nappa ignored him. Here I come, boy! Nappa roared as Gohan fired his attack. The blast fired towards Nappa, who flung it away with what looked to be like with relative difficulty, as Inoichi was left speechless at a display. How could a mere child form anything that powerful? Inoichi could barely say as he continued searching for another memory before he scanned another memory. In this memory, the sky above was green as Inoichi realized that he was in the air this time. How on earth? Inoichi didn't even have time to consider as he noticed how Gohan, clad in a different hairstyle with armor the same as he saw 2 memories ago, glared at a peculiar purple and white lizard-like creature with horns resembling those of an ox. How is Gohan even flying? Inoichi asked as Gohan could barely get the words out of his mouth as he was extremely angry. Gohan clenched his fists in frustration how yet another of his friends was hurt because he was too defenseless to help. How long would he remain a liability to his friends? How much longer? Why you, animal? Gohan yelled with pure, unadulterated rage in his voice before kicking Frieza straight in the head with a speed no one around could have ever seen coming. Not even Lord Fourth could have been that fast. Inoichi stared even more in shock as Gohan followed up with several punches to Frieza's guts before dealing several kicks straight into the Frost Demon's ribs and sternum before Gohan dealt a final kick straight to Frieza's chest as he blasted Frieza deep into the ground below. Before the tyrannical overlord could catch a breath, he was suddenly bombarded with blast after blast from the angry 5-year-old. Such strength! No child from my recollection has been said to have had as much strength at such a young age other than Itachi Uchiha. Inoichi could barely breathe out as Gohan continued roaring in anger as he shot blast after blast at Frieza. Gohan then raised his hands up to his air before leveling it with one hand Masenko Ha. Gohan roared as he slammed the energy beam straight down at the evil bastard. He nearly killed Krillin, and he would make sure the bastard got his just desserts. No, not even Itachi could be that powerful at such young of an age. To be a prodigy even higher than Itachi was. Inoichi barely said as he scanned another memory. The memory changed to where an older Gohan was shown with the other Z warriors around him, but what shocked Inoichi the most was the sight of the revived Piccolo who he thought he saw deity's back. But how? Reanimation jutsu somehow? Inoichi raised an eyebrow before he was nearly struck with an electric bolt. Before he could say a word, he noticed how Gohan's hair was blonde instead of black, and all of it except for a single bang stood up. How is his hair different? What's going on? Inoichi asked with a feeling that told him that he'd get the answers he desired in this select memory. You don't scare me, Cell. Gohan glared at Cell before a smirk played on his features, making Cell return the facial gesture. Really? Cell asked, bemused. With the powers he obtained from his near-death experience, this little pain in his ass would only be a former one. That's right. One thing I learned from my father was to never give up even when the odds are stacked against you. If you're as powerful you say you are, then bring it on. Gohan raised a fist as Cell lost his smile while he stared blankly at the half-breed. Well, what are you waiting for? Gohan demanded as Cell's expression changed to blank to one of anger at being challenged. You have a lot to learn, boy. I'll make sure you end up just like Goku. Cell declared, and before Inoichi could say anything the memory changed by itself. This time Inoichi bared witness to a beam struggle between Gohan and Cell as the two walked towards each other, determined to end this final battle. Just how could two people have this much power? This power is... Inoichi nearly fell back in awe of the power as it nearly knocked him off his feet. It's over, Cell. Your reign ends here. Goodbye. Gohan yelled as the beam slowly enveloped Cell, who struggled in vain. No! I refuse to let it end here. I am Cell. Dr. Gero's ultimate creation. I won't lose to some snot-nosed toddler. Cell yelled before his second wind suddenly ignited as the beam began to grow again before the two beams were equal. Say hi to your daddy for me. Cell yelled. Not a chance. Good always triumphs over evil. Gohan spat as the two beams continued their power collision before they slowly got bigger and bigger. The two warriors glared at each other as they intended on finishing this fight. Your terror will end today. I'll see you in hell. Gohan and Cell yelled simultaneously before their Kamehamehas got bigger and bigger before they slowly erupted as a dome of energy surrounded the two. Both fighters could say nothing before their beams were disintegrating as the two were suddenly whisked away along with their beams. What the? Cell gasped in horror as Gohan was equally horrified. How could such a battle cause this? Inoichi asked before the light died down around the two warriors, ending the memory, leaving Inoichi in pure awe at the memories he saw. To think, a mere kid around the same age as Ino, being so strong. Inoichi shook his head in disbelief before ending the jutsu and coming back into the real world. The said people looked at each other with baffled expression. This kid is something else, said Inoichi. While the others were talking about the pure amount of power this kid had, Hiruzen was thinking about other things. This kid is from another world, and he is definitely a warrior above Kage level. However, he doesn't know of the existence of the Kyuubi. Maybe Naruto can finally have a friend after all.